Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Tensions between the Forrester and Logan dynasties have been simmering for weeks in the dazzling but dangerous world of Los Angeles fashion and family drama. On Thursday morning, the air at Il Giardino felt heavier than normal as Deacon Sharp sat across from his wife, SHEILA Carter Sharp, in their small apartment. The once fervent passion that had brought them together now flickered like a dying candle, casting dark shadows on their shared history. Deacon, with his rough charm and history of redemption attempts, glanced at the divorce papers spread on the weathered wooden table between them. SHEILA grasped a coffee mug like a lifeline, her eyes piercing but filled with a vulnerability she rarely displayed. Their marriage had always been a mix of chaos and unexpected tenderness. SHEILA, the renowned troublemaker with a history strewn with crimes, manipulations, and surprising resurrections, had discovered something approximating stability in Deacon. He saw past her terrible reputation and embraced the lady who had fought her way through betrayal after betrayal. But recently, fractures have grown into chasms. Whispers of Deacon's developing intimacy with Taylor Hayes had reached SHEILA's ears, sparking a maelstrom that no amount of denial could calm. The brief but intense affair damaged their delicate trust. Deacon's revelation days before had left SHEILA reeling, tears flowing down her cheeks as she demanded the truth he could no longer conceal. Now, on this important Thursday, they confronted the unavoidable. "This is it, isn't it?" SHEILA asked gently, her voice shaking despite her attempts to appear strong. "After everything we've gone through, my death, the schemes, the family feuds, you've decided to walk away." Deacon exhaled heavily, running a hand over his salt and pepper hair. He recalled the early days of their relationship, when SHEILA stayed by him when others dismissed him as a loser. She had shielded him from Brooke Logan and Ridge Forrester's frequent judgments. In exchange, he gave her a chance at normalcy, or as close to it as possible in their society. But love, it appeared, was insufficient to conquer the ghosts of their pasts or the allure of previous flames. Deacon stretched for her hand, but SHEILA backed away slightly. "I never wanted to hurt you, SHEILA. You've changed me in ways I can't explain. But it's become toxic. For both of us." The words sat heavy in the room. They pondered on their trip, recalling the stolen moments of laughing at the restaurant, the furious confrontations that ended in passionate reconciliations, and how SHEILA had shielded him from his inner demons. However, the betrayal of Taylor loomed huge. Taylor, with her caring attitude and tangled ties to the Forrester family, had given Deacon a look into a different life, one untroubled by SHEILA's turbulent past. It wasn't just an affair, it was a sign of underlying unhappiness. As they spoke, memories flooded back. SHEILA remembered the night she pretended to die to escape her enemies, only to return to find Deacon waiting with open arms. He'd risked everything for her, defying the Logans and Forresters, who saw her as a monster. SHEILA had softened around him, toning down her more extreme impulses in order to build a life together. They had envisioned a future free of the continual intrusion of ex-wives and competing families. But reality intervened severely. Hope Logan Spencer, Deacon's daughter, attempted to mediate, but even she could not ignore the developing schism. Brooke's disapproval, Steffi's cautions, and Finn's mixed feelings toward his birth mother SHEILA all contributed to a volatile situation. Everyone had an opinion, and none of them wanted the union to last. Meanwhile, across town in the bustling Forrester Creations office, Hope Logan Spencer paced nervously. Her mind was racing with concern about her father. Hope's relationship with Deacon had always been complex. As a child, she had craved for his presence, only to be let down by his absences and blunders. But in recent years, particularly following his romance with SHEILA, she had noticed a more grounded side to him. Deacon had struggled for sobriety, dignity, and a place in her life. Even when others called him a fool for marrying SHEILA, Hope attempted to understand. She did not condone SHEILA's past, far from it, but she recognized the true attachment her father had formed. Hope did not hesitate when she received urgent texts from Deacon informing her of the upcoming divorce. She grabbed her bag and dashed out of the office, ignoring calls from her mother Brooke and texts from Liam Spencer, her on-and-off-again boyfriend. "Dad needs me," she mumbled to herself as she maneuvered through Los Angeles gridlock. Hope's devotion to Deacon was profound, developed over years of witnessing him struggle and occasionally succeed. She recalls defending him against charges throughout his darkest times, standing up to Ridge's bullying, and even backing his restaurant endeavor despite reservations. This time, with SHEILA's influence potentially becoming hazardous as a result of heartbreak, Hope felt obligated to act. Hope broke into Deacon's apartment just as her father and SHEILA were having an emotional chat. SHEILA looked up, her face a mixture of astonishment and restrained hostility. "Hope, what are you doing here?" she said, her tone marked with mistrust. Hope briefly ignored the topic, focusing on Deacon, who appeared exhausted yet relieved by her arrival. "Dad, I heard what happened. You don't have to go through this alone," Hope stated firmly, rising to stand beside him. She put a comforting hand on his shoulder, her eyes meeting SHEILA's with a mix of empathy and determination. SHEILA's single future loomed enormous in that moment. The lady who had previously lived on manipulation and control now faced an uncertain future, without Deacon by her side. She had rebuilt herself several times, from bitter ex to dedicated wife, but losing Deacon meant facing the solitude she had long avoided. "You always rush to his defense, Hope," SHEILA said coldly. "Even when he's the one breaking hearts." Hope refused to give up. "This isn't about taking sides against you, SHEILA. It's about making sure Dad doesn't crumble under the pressure. You've both made mistakes, but he deserves support right now." The room filled with raw emotion as the three handled the aftermath. Deacon told up about his regrets, revealing that, while he still cared for SHEILA, the endless cycle of drama had worn him down. He expressed a desire for peace, possibly even exploring what a life with Taylor may provide, but was careful not to exacerbate the issue. SHEILA, holding back tears, thought on her personal development. She had tried to be better for him by controlling her desires and focusing on creating something tangible. However, the affair had revived old wounds, reminding her of every rejection she had faced, from her son Finn to the entire Forrester clan. Hope listened attentively, her heart aching for both of them. She vehemently defended Deacon, stating that his choices, while unpleasant, were motivated by honesty rather than malice. "He's tried so hard to make this work, SHEILA, but sometimes love isn't enough when the past keeps pulling you under." Her words were powerful, drawing on her own turbulent romantic history with Liam, Thomas Forrester, and others. Hope was all too aware of how family secrets and betrayals could weaken even the closest relationships. As the conversation progressed, flashbacks ran through their heads. There was the dramatic wedding where SHEILA promised to reform, surrounded by dubious guests. Deacon's proposal in a moment of vulnerability, promising to be by her side no matter what. The tranquil nights at Il Giardino, when they devised plans for development while disregarding the world's judgment. However, there were darker moments, SHEILA's clashes with Taylor, Deacon's secret meetings, and the automobile catastrophe that nearly exposed everything. The affair with Taylor had begun innocently enough, with a discussion that evolved into comfort, then into something more. It had been a respite for Deacon from the intensity of SHEILA's devotion, which frequently bordered on obsession. SHEILA paced the room, her thoughts racing about a future alone. What would single life be like for her? She considered reverting to her cunning ways, possibly targeting those who had harmed her or seeking genuine repentance this time. Finn, her son, might never totally embrace her, but if she demonstrated that she had changed, there might be hope for reconciliation. Perhaps she would enjoy solitude, focusing on her own happiness for once. The prospect horrified, but yet emancipated her. "If this is goodbye, Deacon, then I won't beg any more," she replied, her voice betraying her grief. "But don't expect me to disappear quietly. I've survived worse." Deacon nodded, his eyes glistening. He liked Hope's presence because it helped him stay grounded in the midst of chaos. His daughter had developed into a strong, compassionate woman, similar to her mother Brooke, but with a unique resilience. Hope's defense was not mindless loyalty. It sprang from witnessing her father's real attempts and fearing what isolation would do to him. She was concerned that without support, Deacon would relapse into old behaviors or, worse, face SHEILA's fury in unexpected ways. The conversation went to practical considerations, such as asset division, the destiny of Il Giardino, and how to deal with the inevitable rumors within Forrester Creations. Brooke would definitely rejoice at the breakup, seeing SHEILA as a harmful influence removed from her daughter's life. Ridge might give harsh advice, whereas Steffi would warn Finn about his mother's next maneuvers. Hope vowed to be present for the logistics, giving her home as a temporary haven, if necessary.
You're not alone, Dad.
We've been through scandals before. This is just another chapter. SHEILA envied the father-daughter relationship. Her own family relationships were strained. Finn held her at arm's length, and Hayes was guarded from her influence. In defending Deacon, Hope unintentionally exposed what SHEILA lacked: unwavering familial support. It strengthened her desire to pursue a new path. Perhaps she'd travel or delve further into her nurse character, which had temporarily concealed her identity. Single life may offer freedom from the expectations of being Deacon's wife, allowing her to rediscover the bold, unapologetic SHEILA Carter. Hours passed in the flat while feelings ebbed and flowed. They laughed and cried as they remembered happier times, a disastrous double date with friends, SHEILA's overzealous attempts at domesticity. Deacon stated that his feelings for Taylor had complicated everything, but it did not erase his years with SHEILA. "You made me believe in second chances," he told her earnestly. SHEILA softened briefly, realizing that Deacon had given her the closest thing to a decent marriage she had ever known. However, the decision stood. Divorce was the only option, a painful but necessary step towards rehabilitation. Hope guided the conversation, ensuring that voices were not raised to unsafe levels. Her eagerness to defend Deacon was more than just about protecting him. It was also about maintaining the fragile peace in their extended family. She was aware that this break may have far-reaching consequences, influencing Finn's relationship with Steffi, Taylor's status with Ridge, and even Hope's own dynamics with her parents. SHEILA stood tall as the sun dipped lower in the Los Angeles sky, casting a golden glow through the windows. Her single future beckoned, a blank canvas filled with possible hazards and chances. She hugged Deacon one final time, a move full with unspoken words. "Take care of yourself," she said. She gave Hope a grudging nod of respect. "Your devotion to him is admirable. Just remember that everyone has a breaking point." Hope and Deacon watched as SHEILA packed a few possessions and exited the apartment, her movements purposeful despite her sadness. The door snapped closed, signaling the end of an era. In the silence that followed, Hope turned to her father. "We'll get through this. You deserve happiness, Dad. Whatever that looks like right now." Deacon embraced her, glad for the unshakable support that had rushed to his side at the critical moment. Ripples spread over town almost immediately. Brooke received a call from Hope, her voice full of relief and concern. "It's over, Mom. They're divorcing." Brooke's response was euphoric, but tempered by concern for her granddaughter's emotional health. Ridge and Steffi pondered the consequences at Forrester, wondering if Taylor would now seek a serious relationship with Deacon. Finn, divided between his mother's pain and his family's safety, sought advice from his wife. SHEILA, meanwhile, booked into a motel, her mind already planning the next step. She thought on her perseverance while alone and unburdened. She'd been shot, feared dead, imprisoned and ostracized, but she always came back stronger. This time would not be different. Perhaps she would focus on making amends with Finn, or even shocking everyone with genuine change. Perhaps the old SHEILA would reappear, seeking payback in subtle ways. She was excited by the uncertainty. Deacon, encouraged by Hope, began to envisage a new beginning. The restaurant required attention, his sobriety necessitated monitoring, and his feelings for Taylor demanded investigation free of the guilt of a failing marriage. Hope's defense had boosted his confidence, reminding him that family relationships could withstand even the most violent storms. The day was filled with phone calls, confrontations, and quiet musings. In one scenario at Brooke's house, Hope presented her position to her mother and Ridge, who had assembled for an unexpected family meeting. Dad's made mistakes, but abandoning him now would be cruel. Sheila's influence is gone. Let's help him rebuild. Brooke, ever the guardian, cautioned against becoming too involved, given Sheila's history of manipulation. Even she recognized Hope's maturity in handling the matter. Taylor experienced a flood of conflicting feelings after receiving the news from Steffi. Her relationship with Deacon had unexpectedly blossomed, providing comfort amidst her own romantic difficulty. But she was concerned about Sheila's reaction. The lady was unpredictable at best. Taylor approached Deacon gingerly, first offering support as a friend, aware of the delicate situation. Finn paid a brief visit to his mother at the hotel, and their discussion was unpleasant yet revealing. Sheila hid her pain with bravado, assuring him that she would be well alone. "I've always landed on my feet, baby. This is just another chapter." Finn, guarded but sensitive, advised her to get treatment if necessary, a small bridge in their damaged relationship. As evening neared, Deacon and Hope dined at Il Giardino, a restaurant that represented his hard-won freedom. They talked frankly about the future, Hope's plans for Forrester, her confusing love life, and Deacon's desire for redemption. "You rushing to my defense today meant the world," he said to her. "It reminds me why I keep fighting." Sheila, alone in her room, glanced at the city lights. Her single future was ahead, full of unknowns. Will she seek peace or chaos? Rebuild or destroy? The decision was hers, uninfluenced by marital commitments. She raised a glass in a solo toast to survival, reinvention, and the strong woman she had always been. The events of that Thursday reverberated throughout the soap's complex web of relationships, paving the way for new alliances, betrayals, and redemptions. Hope's unwavering defense emphasized themes of devotion in the face of dysfunction, while Sheila's looming solitude hinted at explosive events to come. In the world of the bold and the beautiful, endings were rarely final, but this one held the weight of true transformation. Deacon thought late into the night about the lady who had loved him fiercely, warts and all. Sheila did the same, her heart hardening but remaining hopeful. Hope returned home fatigued but satisfied, knowing she had done well by her father. The city hummed with its normal vigor, oblivious to the personal earthquakes rocking its inhabitants. Yet, in their interwoven lives, one chapter ended, clearing the door for whatever drama Thursday's aftermath would bring. The divorce proceedings would commence shortly, with lawyers involved and assets shared. But behind the papers were the human stories of love lost, lessons learnt, and futures remade. Hope's intervention had saved Deacon from a catastrophic collapse by providing a safety net. Sheila's single status freed her from one cage while forcing her into another. Self-discovery. In the days that followed, alliances shifted. Perhaps Sheila would form an alliance with unexpected people, or Deacon would find peace in Taylor's arms. Hope may face repercussions for her loyalty, straining relations with the Forresters. The possibilities were limitless in this fabric of passion, power, and forgiveness. Ultimately, the day highlighted a fundamental reality in their world. Family, no matter how odd, served as an anchor throughout life's most challenging storms. Deacon leaned on Hope, Sheila confronted herself, and the stage was set for the next installment in this never-ending love and loss story. The bold and the beautiful dance of desire and deception resumed on Thursday, with a watershed moment for two souls who were once entwined but are now headed for separate paths. Logan doesn't hesitate when she detects trouble gathering, and on this tense Thursday, her instincts lead her right into the firing line. Deacon Sharp is once again under examination, with allegations and suspicions swirling about him like a maelstrom he can't escape. Despite his efforts to stay on the right track, his relationship with Sheila continues to cast a long, gloomy shadow over all he does. When tensions mount and fingers start pointing, Hope steps in unafraid, determined to defend her father and show that he is not the man everyone thinks he is. Her brave move is not overlooked. Ridge and Brooke remain cautious, wondering if Hope is letting her emotions cloud her judgment. They can't get away from Deacon's history, especially while Sheila Carter is still around. But Hope will not back down. She sees Deacon's growth and believes he deserves a fair chance at forgiveness. As the confrontation heats up, Hope's passionate defense challenges everyone to reassess whether Deacon is actually guilty or just paying the price for sins he's attempting to leave behind. Meanwhile, Sheila's future takes an abrupt and unexpected turn. For a woman who feeds on commotion and connection, the prospect of being utterly alone begins to creep in. With fewer allies and more adversaries than ever, Sheila must confront the hard fact that her tactics may have permanently alienated everyone. The walls appear to shut in as she realizes that Deacon may no longer be willing or able to stand by her side. As emotions run high and loyalties are tested, the lines between right and wrong become increasingly blurred. Hope's tenacity might either save her father or lead her deeper into a perilous web she doesn't completely comprehend. At the same time, Sheila's unclear future begs a disturbing question. What will she do when she has nothing more to lose? The drama is far from over, with relationships and secrets on the verge of exploding. What happens next could have unexpected consequences.